The story begins in the triple canopy jungles of Vietnam, where a new kind of ghost soldier turned the enemy's greatest weapon, the terrain itself, into a hunting ground. It's a tale of the Australian SAS, an elite few who faced an impossible mission: to defeat a hidden enemy not with overwhelming force, but with a silence so profound it bred a unique and paralyzing fear. What unfolds will reveal how a handful of men achieved what entire divisions could not, expose the psychological warfare that broke the enemy's will, and uncover the timeless lesson in how patience and precision can conquer sheer firepower. Before we begin this journey together, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this story with someone who understands that the most profound victories are often the quietest, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Phuoc Tuy Province, South Vietnam, September 21, 1966. The Viet Cong lookout never saw them. He had spent 3 monsoons in the jungle, could sense a U.S. patrol by the distant clatter of gear and the low murmur of their voices, could taste the distinct scent of their rations on the wind. But the 5 figures who emerged from the wall of green were shadows given form. No metallic clicks, no clumsy footsteps, no light. As he reached for his canteen at 03:15, an arm locked around his throat and a knife found its mark without a whisper. 2 other perimeter guards met an identical fate in under a minute. The VC outpost, a command bunker, 22 soldiers, and ammunition depot was erased from existence by 03:30. By first light, the assault team had dissolved back into the terrain, leaving behind only the fallen, positioned in a deliberate formation, a signature. The Australian SAS was now in theater. In Hanoi, intelligence officers would spend years dissecting the legend of these ghost soldiers, while the Americans waged war with thunderous search and destroy missions, artillery barrages, and screaming helicopter assaults. These new adversaries hunted with chilling surgical precision. There were no survivors, no tales of escape, just abandoned camps and a creeping dread that turned the Viet Cong's greatest ally, the jungle, into a place of primal fear. America's war was big, loud, and technological. The SAS's war was silent, patient, and absolutely lethal. When the first Australian and British SAS advisors arrived, American command was deeply skeptical. They possessed overwhelming firepower: M16s, Hueys, on-call artillery, and B-52s. What could a handful of soldiers from a fated empire possibly teach them? The answer was etched in 12 years of jungle experience from the Malayan emergency. The SAS had perfected long-range patrolling, small unit tactics, and the subtle art of hearts and minds counter-insurgency. As one British SAS major noted, the Americans wanted to find the enemy and destroy him with maximum force. We wanted to understand him first, then remove him surgically. The contrast was immediate and stark. An SAS patrol could operate for 2 weeks on the supplies an American platoon consumed in 3 days. They moved without breaking branches, communicated with hand signals, and set ambushes that waited for days. To Pentagon strategists focused on attrition and body counts, the SAS's 4 to 6 man teams and intelligence-focused missions seemed almost quaint, a scalpel against their sledgehammer. The Viet Cong initially shared this dismissal, believing their control over vast jungle territories was unshakable. That illusion was shattered when the Australian SAS regiment deployed in 1966. These were not regular infantry. They were a ruthless elite, forged in a selection process with a 90% failure rate, and trained in the traditions of Britain's 22 SAS. Their doctrine emphasized what the Americans largely ignored: silent movement, tracking, and a predator's patience. A single patrol could lie motionless for 16 hours, execute a devastating 30-second ambush, and vanish before a response could be organized. Their entire methodology was a study in contrast. Where Americans used helicopters as noisy taxis, the SAS walked for days to their insertion points. While GIs carried fully automatic M16s, the SAS preferred the semi-automatic precision of the L1A1 rifle. Every round counted when resupply was a week away. Most critically, where U.S. units measured success in enemy body counts, the SAS measured it in intelligence, photographed documents, mapped supply routes, and identified command structures. They were auditors of death, shadowing VC units for days without ever engaging. This approach soon yielded undeniable results. After a large U.S. sweep in late 1966 found nothing, a single four-man SAS patrol remained in the area for 12 days. They moved less than 8 kilometers, but in that time they photographed 3 VC camps, documented key supply routes, and identified a battalion headquarters, enabling precision strikes that crippled enemy logistics without a single shot fired. The discovery of the vast Cu Chi tunnel network during Operation Crimp was a pivotal moment. While American tunnel rats bravely cleared holes with a pistol and flashlight, the SAS employed a more systematic terror. "We didn't send men in unless necessary," recalled one sergeant. "We'd map the tunnels, pump in CS gas, and collapse strategic sections. It was about neutralization, not heroism." One incident in March 1966 became legend. A four-man patrol, call sign Charlie 1, watched a 20-strong VC unit stop for a break just 30 meters away. The SAS remained frozen for 43 agonizing minutes. When the VC moved on, they were followed to their base camp. The intelligence was relayed, and by morning, the position was obliterated from the map. The VC never knew what hit them. By mid-1966, captured documents revealed a growing psychosis within VC ranks. They reported unknown enemy forces employing unusual tactics and advised units to avoid engagement if possible. The hunters were becoming the hunted. The Viet Cong were forced to adapt in ways they never had against the Americans. They doubled sentries, relocated camps every 3 days, and instituted a buddy system for even the most basic tasks. Their operational efficiency plummeted. The SAS amplified this psychological warfare with step-up ambushes, where a second team would be waiting on the logical retreat route, and sometimes a third. After 3 consecutive ambushes, a sergeant recalled, enemy units started surrendering rather than running. They couldn't trust their own planning anymore. The ultimate testament to their effectiveness was not in the body count, a staggering 500-plus confirmed KIA for just 3 SAS lost, but in the enemy's perception. A captured NVA officer revealed his unit's standing orders. "If you see them, don't engage, report and withdraw. They never lose." By 1969, the SAS had achieved the unthinkable. They had made entire areas of Phuoc Tuy province effectively VC-free, not by destroying the enemy, but by making the cost of operating there untenable. They had won without fighting, mastering the very form of warfare the Viet Cong thought theirs alone. To be outmatched at their own game was a profound humiliation. The Australian SAS concluded their tour in 1971, their point decisively proven. They had demonstrated that the calculated excellence of a few could deliver strategic impacts that entire divisions failed to achieve. The American war would grind on for 4 more years, but the blueprint for a different kind of warfare had been irrevocably laid down. Today, global special forces view the SAS in Vietnam as the gold standard, a masterclass in patience, intelligence, and lethal restraint that would form the bedrock of doctrines from the mountains of Afghanistan to the deserts of Iraq. "We didn't win the war," reflected a senior SAS commander, "but we proved there was a far more effective way to wage it. The tragedy is how few were willing to learn." The Viet Cong, however, learned a terrifying lesson. A former guerrilla in his memoirs articulated the core of that fear. The Americans were a force of nature, powerful and predictable. The SAS were a force of fate, patient, precise, and efficient to the point of terror. We feared them because they were a perfected version of ourselves. That fear became their ultimate weapon. More than the suppressed Sterlings or the fieldcraft, it was the psychological dominion they exerted. It was the gut-level certainty that the jungle, their ancient sanctuary, had been turned against them, that nowhere was secure, and that the hunters were now the prey. No narrative can truly encapsulate the totality of what four-man teams accomplished in the Highland Mist, but their legacy cemented a timeless combat truth. In shadow wars, the quality of a soldier eclipses the quantity of his army. Precision will always overwhelm firepower. Patience will forever